What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Live Stocks, back with another Tesla update video where we take a look at how Tesla stock traded today, some key support and resistance levels that we're looking at moving into the future, and based on that, what we think the Tesla stock could do for the rest of this week. Now remember, this is the last week before the S&P inclusion. Tesla will be included into the S&P 500 this upcoming Monday, a week from yesterday, so expecting a lot of volatility, expecting a lot of volume, so we'll see kind of how that plays out. Real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button down below. Subscribe to my channel, it really helps me out as I'm trying to grow, and comment down below what your thoughts on Tesla are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So let me hear, we can get right into it. So as we see, it was a red day for Tesla, about $6.58, down 1% for the day, down another $5 after hours, which is another 0.79%, so about 1.8% in the red today, about $11 close to close. Compare that to the NASDAQ, it was green 1.25%. We've got the Dow of 352 points, and then the S&P was also up $4.93, which is about 1.35%. So let's take a look at what happened with Tesla, and we'll kind of see what, sorry about that. We'll kind of see what, what exactly happened. So yesterday, if you guys remember, we closed kind of near the 640s, and we talked about, pushing towards the high 640s to potentially break 650s, which would set us up for, the move towards that high 650s that we had said just earlier this, or earlier last week, rather, I should say now, of 654 to kind of again push for another all-time high. But as we kind of expected, right, we had decent level of resistance kind of in that high 640s mark, trying to break that 650. So what we saw was a sell-off right out of the gate, a little downward pressure, making a low of 634, and then a little bit of a push up, and then what we saw was being able to sustain above the VWAP for a little bit, but then dropping, and this time the drop was pretty hard. It went from, being right at the VWAP in the 640s to dropping all the way to 625. Was able to bounce quick, but then drop again and make a lower low at 623, which would then be our low for the entire day. And since that point on, the bulls were sort of back in business, I guess you could say, and we were slowly pushing upward and making our way towards VWAP, breaking VWAP for a little bit before then again falling below VWAP and closing the day below the VWAP. So, as we expected, again, I'm going to say this once again, a lot of people were just saying, we're going to run up this whole week, buy calls, and that's it. But there's a lot that kind of goes into that, right? A lot of what options pricing is volatility. So if Tesla is very volatile, right, option prices are going to be higher because a portion of that is implied volatility. So if you hold options for too long, even if a stock isn't going down in value, your options can still go down in value. Just something to consider if you're someone who is buying Tesla calls. I play options as well, but I'm doing intraday, so I'll look at kind of how the stock looks, the resistance and support levels that I talk about, and then make some trades based off of that. But my goal is to always be, for a stock like Tesla, especially this week where I'm expecting volatility, most of my plays I'll be out of before the end of the day. I am holding certain plays that are more vertical put spreads, generally considered safer plays, because I have like a max amount that I could lose in that trade, and I already know what I'm kind of set to make, assuming everything goes all right. So that those type of plays I'm keeping for now, but just something to keep in mind. It will be volatile, right? You have to understand that a lot of institutions are trying to buy the stock. They don't want to buy it at these high prices, so they could, have some, or force some selling pressure. And we are the ones who kind of see that selling pressure happening in the market. So just something to be aware of. A lot of institutions could short the stock or could cause a lot of selling pressure so they can buy in at a cheaper rate, since they have to buy in at the end of this week as well. Just my 2 cents, and now we'll get back into kind of the support and resistance. So as we can see, right, the trend that of this line holding up as resistance sort of held. So if you've watched me for a while, the levels we're watching, from a price level perspective, we were trading in the 400s. Then we had this range where we went from 400s to 600s, a 50% increase in just a couple weeks. So we had this line, which I was finding as support, and then this top line, which I was finding as resistance. And we broke below this line, and then since then, the past 3 days, this line has sort of acted as a resistance level. So we'll take a look at, you know, from an indicator perspective, what we see. So the first moving average comes in all the way down at 573, about 60 bucks away if we fall to that. But more so than that, I like looking at the EMAs. So although we are a little red, what I do like about you know, Tesla stock and where it currently stands is it's on, or excuse me, above the 8 EMA on the daily chart, right? The 8 EMA comes in at 618 for the past, you know, forever. It's closed above the 8 EMA, and that's something that I really like seeing. That to me shows, you know, good movement price-wise in a stock. You know, going back as far as before the, you know, since this run started on 11/17, we have not closed at or below the 8 EMA. We've been below it here. We've been below it in a wick, but even in this, you know, the day when we kind of hit a low of 566, we closed at 627 and we closed above the 8 EMA. So that 8 EMA level, 618, I'm looking to make sure that the stock stays above that level, because to me, that's a great sign of support. And then we've got the 21 EA coming in at 571 if we were to break this first EMA. Now, from a price level perspective, although we have a green candle, we did set a higher high and a higher low. You know, now for the past 3 days, we've made higher lows for the past 4 days, higher high, higher low for the past 3 trading days, right? So the levels, the price levels that I'm looking at, right, are the low of today, which comes in at 623, then the low of yesterday, which is at 610, and then 596. As well as the 8 EMA right there. And then from a high perspective, right, it's still that same level of resistance, right, which is today's high of kind of 646, high 640s, that 650 level. Because once we can break that, then we can push towards this 654, 656 level that, or 654 level that we set previously. And then from that point on, it's just whatever, you know, supply and demand kind of has. But be careful, because, you know, these resistance levels might be kind of hard to break through if we see kind of institutional selling pressure coming in as they want to buy shares at a lower price. Now let's take a look at the hourly chart, and we'll draw out some further lines of support and resistance that we see. Let me get rid of these indicators real quick. And you know what we see is this line kind of right here, where we found support, or excuse me, where we found resistance yesterday. Let me draw a horizontal line right there, right at 640. Now this line isn't perfect. It can act as both a support and a resistance in my opinion, and I'll describe why. And then another line right there as well. So the reason I drew this line today is because this line, for every hourly candle, right, we close right at that level, and that is kind of, you know, in the mid 620s, 626s. So you see every candle, when we had a red candle, that's where we closed. When we had a green candle, that's where we took off. And then even in the after hours, that's holding up as good level of support on the daily, on kind of like the 1 hour chart, but looking at today only. Want to see that hold tomorrow, want to see the 8 EMA and the 618s hold and push up from there. First level that I think we're going to struggle through is that 640 level. If you can see yesterday, right, we barely broke above it. After hours, we came below it. Pre-market, we hit up against it for a couple hours before finally breaking above it. But as we saw, you know, soon after, we saw selling pressure that caused us to be, you know, right below that 640 level again. So above 620s, making a push towards 640s is what I would like to see. And I would like to see it break 640s, and I would like to see it break 650s before we can set that new high without a lot of selling pressure coming in. Now, I do think that there's a lot of volume and a lot of transactions that still need to happen for these institutions to buy into the stock. So I still think that there's a lot of potential within Tesla for this week. That being said, the reason I described earlier in this video, I'm not holding a lot overnight. I'm holding vertical put spreads, but a lot of my straight calls, straight puts that I'm playing are going to be intraday only, because I don't want to deal with this volatility, and I want to be able to sleep at night. So let me bring this other chart on my tasty work. You guys have seen me, you know exactly what I'm about to say. 15 EMA on the 4 hour chart and 180-day SMA on the 4 hour chart. The reason being, we are hitting right against that. So as you can see, the close of this candle right here is right at the 627.76 level. That that EMA, that 15-day EMA on the 4-hour chart comes in at 628. The reason I'm watching this and the reason I have this 180-day SMA on the 4-hour chart as well is because if we go back to August, the last time we broke this EMA, which was in the 470s, we fell all the way to kind of the 340s, huge drop, and then that same thing happened about half a month later, or about a month later in September, mid-September, where we fell from 435 to the 370s. So again, another $65 drop. That's the reason why I'm monitoring this closely. I don't necessarily think that if we break this EMA in the 628s that we fall all the way to the 180-day SMA at 500. But I just want to point that out, that, you know, the last time we broke these lines, that's sort of the result that happened. I do think, you know, again, there's a lot of support levels between that and the 180-day SMA, just showing you what happened last time to kind of show you the importance of why I'm watching this line. So that's the 15 exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart and the 180-day SMA on the 4-hour chart. Other than that, you know, I'd really like to see it stay above this 620s that we just highlighted, that it found support at today, and push up towards that 640s where it found a lot of resistance today. And that'll kind of tell me what we are gonna do, right? If we go down, then we might have that level. Now this level as resistance might be hard to break through. If we are able to just go through 640s, great bullish momentum for the stock, then that level could act as a bit of a support, even as it did for about an hour or two here earlier today, and we could hopefully push up and make all-time highs again. Now remember, a lot of volatility is going to happen. We might see selling pressure as well from institutions and big buying and big selling going on, so just be careful of that. A lot of volatility. This is the last week. Friday should be whatever buying needs to happen theoretically for the S&P 500 inclusion on Monday. So hopefully we see good volume. Hopefully we see it moving up, but who knows? So we'll keep watching it, and I'll be watching these levels that I highlighted for you guys in this video as well. Let me know down in the comment section below what you're doing with Tesla, or how you're trading Tesla over the next couple of days. And I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day. And until next time.